The spring season has finally arrived here in London. The sun is out, days are getting longer, and in this video today I'm gonna show you 3 easy ways to decorate your bullet journal, your scrapbook or any kind of journal to celebrate this glorious new season. You can use many of these ideas to create cards, bookmarks and other paper items. Stay until the end because there will be free printables for you along the way. So let's get it started. Hi everyone, this is Carlo and welcome back to my channel. The first design I'm gonna create is inspired by the Sakura, the cherry blossom season that happens in Japan every year from March to May. Also, artist Damien Hirst dedicated a series of artworks to this spectacular natural event. So I decided to get inspired and create this spread on my craft paper journal refill by Travelers Company. First, I grabbed my folder where I keep cutouts of magazines and travel brochures, and I looked for photos and illustrations of the sky. The idea is to cut little rectangles out of them, just like little windows, and glue them on the journal. You can use portions of clear sky, cloudy sky, or at sunset for different effects. I ripped a couple of pages from an old book and I want to create some thin tree branches out of them. Starting by drawing 3 wavy lines on the pages, doubling them and cutting them. They don't need to be perfectly irregular, cause tree branches are all different. Use a glue stick to make a composition with them that overlaps the sky window. Now it's time to grab some acrylic paint. I've used white, portrait pink and primary red. As alternatives, if you don't have access to acrylic colors, you can use gouache, tempera, poster paint, cheap finger paint that you can find at the dollar store. Also, a thick watercolor will do the job, but it will not give you the same degree of coverage and you will need a thicker paper. The idea is mixing, let's say, 3 different tones of pink. A soft one, a sharper one, and a more peach tone. And also preparing some white on the side, because these are the 4 colors we're gonna use. I took one of these pencils that have a round eraser at the top. I dabbed it into the paint and started stamping circles on the page, alternating the colors. You'll see how, little by little, we will build this rarefied and poetic atmosphere similar to those artworks by Damien Hirst. Overlap the circles, cluster them here and there, and also have some of them fluctuating mid-air, just like the cherry petals falling during this magical season. As an option, you can also stamp some green circles to suggest the idea of the leaves. I've used the same process on a paper tag to create a small bookmark that I want to attach to my journal. This design can also be a perfect idea for a birthday card to give to someone whose birthday is in spring. I finished the spread with a handwritten title. I'm not very skilled when it comes to using a brush pen for calligraphy, but I have a simple trick to use as damage control. I use a white Uniball Signal gel pen to add an outline around the title, and also to smoothen up and discreetly adjust the thickness of the line in the points where I haven't been very precise. I have to say, it works every time. I really enjoyed creating this spread. It has texture, artistic references, conceptual elements, and it combines different media in a very fun way. Springtime is also the season to start having lavish picnics in the park, enjoyable alfresco lunches. Who doesn't love that? So for the second journal theme, I took inspiration from picnics in the countryside, thinking about a French aesthetic, the Provence region, these finely decorated tablecloths, and food, and wine. Because hey, for these designs we're gonna create all the elements first and then we will assemble the pages. I decided to use the packaging tissue paper I recycled from a parcel I received to create some paper doilies. You can use any kind of thin paper you can find. I've used a plate to draw a circular shape on the paper and also a bowl. to draw a smaller one just to have different sizes to choose from. Cut the circular shapes with a pair of scissors, smoothen them up and start folding them in half. Over and over. Until you have a thin wedge like this. Using little curved scissors, I've cut this rounded triangular shape on the top. I've also cut triangular indentations along the sides and continued adding smaller ones. You can also fold the wedge furtherly and cut a final tiny triangle along the central line, but this is optional. So this is what I have now. I'm gonna try and delicately open up the doily without disintegrating it. And here we go. We have our first element that already suggests the vibe of a French-inspired picnic. And now we need a tablecloth. I searched on Google Images Provence tablecloth and I found the image of a decorated napkin. And I said, that's a nice pattern. So I used Canva to digitally multiply it and create a bigger design. I've printed it on A4 paper and I'm very pleased with the style that it has. Now my favorite part, creating illustrations. You know how much I love an illustrated journal. We're gonna use watercolor paper, 300 GSM, but if you're not gonna use wet media, just normal paper will do. I went on Pinterest and put in the search bar picnic flat lay aesthetic, and I found beautiful images to use as inspiration. So I started sketching different elements by pencil. We need food plates, fruit, croissants, bread, and very important, a picnic basket that will be our main element. You will see why. I've used a waterproof fine liner, this is Pigma Micron by Sakura, to go over all the lines before adding watercolor. If you don't have a waterproof fine liner, do the coloring first and then use the fine liner, so that you're sure that it will not smudge. Once the fine liner is dry, I've erased all the pencil marks and started applying watercolor. You can be quite free in this phase. Sometimes being imperfect and loose with watercolor gives the best results in terms of style. That's the magic of this amazing medium. I've refined the color profile with coloring pencils, which also allowed me to add a wooden pattern to this cheese board and other little details here and there. If you don't have time to create all these illustrations, or simply if you like them, they are available to download for free as a printable PDF on my BuyMeACoffee page. The PDF contains the colored illustration and also the black and white version if you like to color them yourself. I'm leaving the link in the video description. On my page on the platform BuyMeACoffee, you can find other printable resources for journaling, free ebooks to download, and if you like them, you can support my channel for the price of a coffee to help me create more and more videos. Once the illustrations are complete, I cut them all and set them aside, because now it's time to assemble the design. First, I've cut a portion of tablecloth to glue on the page. I'm a big fan of having ripped, irregular edges. I think they add interest and dynamism to the composition. I'm gonna add some bits of paper doilies now, and because the paper is very delicate, I'm using this roller glue tape sparingly, here and there. We don't want the doily to stick to the page entirely, we want to maintain this scrapbooking layered effect. I took my picnic basket illustration and with a cutter I've cut an opening along the top rim, horizontally. I've also glued some little portions of tablecloth along the opening to suggest the idea that it's lining the inside of the basket. When I glued the basket illustration on the page, I've applied glue only along the borders, avoiding the center part. You can add the other elements freely in the next pages. This charcuterie board will look nice here, and some flowers here so we don't make it all about the food. I decided to put bread baguettes and wine in the basket and have a little interactive element just to make it fun. You can continue the design in the next pages, combining tablecloth portions and illustrations. This theme is very cute to decorate bullet journals, but also recipe books or spring-inspired scrapbooks. Or why not? Also to create a little book to give as a gift for Mother's Day or other occasions. Now, after two quite maximalist designs, for the third theme I decided to create a more minimalist, chic one. One of my favorite rituals for the spring season is to buy tulips for the house. They're my favorite flowers and they set the tone straight away, suggesting that the new season is here. For this design we're gonna use vellum paper of 3 different colors plus green, so 4 colors in total. If you're not familiar with vellum paper, it's a thick tinted tracing paper, so it's translucent and semi-transparent. You can find it in craft stores or online. It usually comes in pads of assorted colors, like these ones by Decotime, that also include patterned sheets, and you can use them in many creative projects. First, we draw what would be the petals of our tulips. So I drew these kind of drop shapes on the paper, alternating sizes. Some of them will be more narrow than others. I want to have an assortment to choose from. Once the petals are all drawn, I created some elongated leaves on the green vellum paper. Here as well, I want them to be all different. Now, with a pair of scissors, I cut and sort all the shapes by color. To create this spread, I start gluing the petals on the journal in groups of 3, starting with the middle one, that will be the chunkier one, and adding 2 more petals on each side. As you can see, overlapping these elements of vellum paper builds up this lovely layered effect. We want to create something that is simple and stylish, so this would be enough to suggest the idea of our flowers. When you incorporate the leaves into the composition, don't be afraid of overlapping them to the flowers, because that's what naturally happens when you have a bunch of tulips. Some of them are shielded behind the beautiful sword-shaped leaves. To make your composition dynamic, alternate often the orientation of flowers and leaves. I decided to use my Uniball Signal White gel pen to add little droplets of morning dew, both on the petals and the leaves. This is optional, of course, but I think it gives a nice touch. This design works best if we keep our writing essential and minimal on the rest of the page, and if we leave a good portion of blank space between the text and the decoration. I hope these 3 different ideas gave you some inspiration to let the spring sunshine into your journals and celebrate this incredible season. And if you like this video, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and press the bell button to be always notified when a new video is out. Don't forget to check my page on BuyMeACoffee to get your free printables and other resources for your art and journaling. This was me, Carlo, and until next video, take care, be kind, and I'll see you soon.